of Advertising Week Europe. Is that better? Shall I start again? I'd like to welcome you all on our sadly fourth and final day at Advertising Week Europe. This week we have been enlightened, challenged, inspired by some of our industry's greatest leaders. But the truth is that behind each of these individuals, there is a significant network of talented people who make our leaders look great, say the right things, and balance their public and private lives in 34 hours that they need to fit into 24. At the Lighthouse Company, Kathleen, who sat at the end, our founder, and I are really privileged to welcome, to work with senior leaders at the most critical times in their careers. Our work with them goes well beyond representation, and we therefore offer a concierge service called TLC Bespoke, which provides access to anything from lawyers to dietitians through to psychotherapists. So it's as TLC Bespoke that we today are delighted to welcome some of the most renowned executive assistants here on the stage who really are the power behind the throne. Over the next 45 minutes, we want to lift the bonnet and uncover the truth around what it really takes to be a successful assistant for someone in the public eye. They will share their experiences of working with someone in the limelight, or in Nikki's case, someone who fiercely guards their privacy from public gaze, and bring to life for us what it is to be their go-to person, their trusted advisor, and their true confidant. We will look at how to become, hopefully, the ultimate PA. What it takes to handle the press, to handle the public, and indeed to handle the hangers-on. And what benefits and challenges are there of being on the speed dial at all times to a well-known individual? So we have 5 wonderful panellists, and rather than me do the talking, let me welcome them, and hopefully they can share their experiences and hopefully a few behind the cover tales for us today. So from your left to right, first off at the end we have Donna Coulling. So as well as being a presenter and public speaker, she is also PA to Helena Bonham Carter, Rachel Weisz, Sir Derek Jacobi and Samuel West. Next to her we have Merryl Futerman, and she's one half of PA Access All Areas, and she's also a voracious blogger. Her first client was, and indeed still is, Julian Clary, and she's also worked for Jonathan Ross, Anne Robinson and Denise Van Outen. Next to her we have Josephine, who's her partner in crime in PA Access All Areas, and she's also resident on Executive PA Magazine's PA panel. Her clients have included Joseph Fiennes, Emilia Fox and Miranda Hart. We then have Nikki Berg, and Nikki Berg is the founder of Private PA. God only knows how she finds the time to do that, as she is also personal assistant to Len Blavatnik. I knew I was going to do that. A man who famously guards his privacy, but who is in fact one of the UK's and indeed the world's wealthiest men, with an empire spanning gas, oil and Warner Music, amongst other things. So really impressive. And finally, we have Mark, the lovely Mark, who is founder of the Hangover Club, so hopefully more on that later. He was previously PA to the late and very great Alexander McQueen, and is now Gok Wan's right-hand man. So please give them all a very warm welcome. So before I sit down, I thought I'd kick us off. So if I might kick off with Donna and work along, I'd just like to ask you all, why did you choose to become an executive EA? What do you love most about what you do? So if we start...
I didn't choose it, it found me. I trained as an actor, I didn't train as a PA. I went to drama school, I was going to be hugely famous and tripping down the Hollywood Walk of Fame, of which I have since tripped down, but not with my own star down there. I worked as an actor for 6 years, on and off, and then I got fed up with paying my rent with my credit card, so I thought I need to get a proper job. So I went and worked for an actor's agent, which I've since found out several assistants start out that way. It's a great foundation course because we learn about contracts, riders, what's expected of us, and also nurturing the people that you work for, which is an important part of our job. From there, I worked in a film production company, then a theatre production company, and then I thought, I'm really bored. I need to be back with my people, with my actors. So I literally wrote to 12 agents, and timing was on my side for the first time in my life. And Helena Bonham Carter's assistant was looking to leave. So I met the assistant, we drank wine, I met Helena, we drank tea, and I started, and that was 13 years ago next month. And since then I've built up my client base, and I now do lots of other things as well, but I still have my 4 clients, I still got my day job, and I've also got a 7-year-old daughter who is also a very integral part of my day job too.
And what do you love about it?
What do I love about it? I love that every day is different. I love being challenged. I love learning on the job. What I hated from my work before is that it was dull, it was boring, there was no challenges. I was trying to find things to get me through from 9 to 5, saving my filing for Friday afternoon, ordering lots of things on Amazon. Do you like what I did there? Spending money that I didn't have because I was so bored. I just wasn't learning anything. And now I feel that every job that I've done, as long as I've met somebody who has inspired me or somebody that's helped to be part of my big group of my network, my community of PAs, I love that every day is different and I never know what I'm going into. I could be walking into a television interview around the kitchen table. I could be walking into a meltdown. I could be walking into kids' tantrums. I could be walking into a leaking roof. I don't know what I'm walking into, but I thrive on that. I thrive on being challenged and learning every day. And I love the people that I work for. I respect them, which is also hugely important.
Moving on to Merryl.
Same
question. So,
well, equally, I started out on a different path. It was more on the PR side. I worked in book publishing and also in the film industry as a publicist. I realised quite quickly that the part of the job that I liked was looking after people, and the part that I wasn't so keen on was dealing with the press. So I did what I thought was make up a job, which was to be somebody's personal assistant, and we are talking about 20 years ago now, so it wasn't something that I'd heard about. And fortunately, one of my PR companies were very supportive and put me in touch with a few people that they thought might be interested in having a personal assistant. That wasn't how it happened in the end, but it did happen, and Julian was my first client, and I'm still with him, in fact was with him this morning. And what I love about it is the challenges, the never knowing what's going to be at the end of the phone. It's like Donna says, what you're going to walk into. I've been in some hilarious situations. I've been in some awful situations. But again, I couldn't have done a 9 to 5. And I've also juggled the job around bringing up a family. My eldest is going to be turning 20 shortly. And my younger is turning 18 shortly, and it's worked really well because I've been able to be upfront and open with people about what my situation is, and they've all been really understanding and respectful, whereas in an office environment, you know, I was finding myself, you know, watching the clock, worrying about getting out in time for the nanny, that kind of thing. So, you know, it's worked really, really well for me.
Josephine.
I also started in PR, actually. I did the PR for George Michael when he got arrested in LA, and for Mariah Carey when she had her breakdown, so that was great. And soon decided that PR wasn't for me. We wonder why. We also we worked for Versace, putting all of the A-listers in the front row of the fashion shows around the world. So through that, I got to organise flying people in and around, and I used to have to go to the fashion shows and look after them when they were there, when they ranged from people like Puff Daddy to Jennifer Lopez, that sort of person. And I soon realised that actually that was the part of it I enjoyed, looking after people, making sure they got where they were supposed to be, and doing that sort of style of thing. So I left PR and started working for Josephine 12-ish years ago, and still work for him now. And added along the way Emilia Fox, Armstrong and Miller I did for about 6 years, and Miranda Hart I started with her about 3 years ago and still work for her too now. And what I really enjoy about it, like the ladies have said, obviously it's the fact it's so different every day, definitely. But I think I'm a bit of a saddo, and I get quite a lot of satisfaction in sorting someone out and making sure everything's great for them and that it's all worked really smoothly. So when, you know, they've done this nightmare schedule that's gone on for 4 weeks of press and flying there, going there, doing this, doing that, and it's all done and it's all gone smoothly, that's the best bit of the job for me. I pat myself on the back and have a nice cup of tea and think, yeah, that was pretty darn good, well done you. So that's my favourite bit.
Nikki.
Well, I've always been an assistant of some sort. I guess when you look at what career to follow, you think, well, what am I good at? So I'm a born organiser. I'm a born problem solver, so being an assistant just seems like the natural progression to that. What do I absolutely love about my job? Same as everyone else, no day's ever the same, but the situations I am exposed to, have been exposed to, the people I've met and are still meeting, it's phenomenal. It's an amazing, amazing life experience. If it ended today, I would still be grateful and say thank you, it's been marvellous. But I hope it's going to go on for a lot longer.
Mark?
I also, same as Donna, I started as an actor. I went to drama school, and then I did my masters at another drama school. And then I worked at a restaurant like every other actor does when they graduate. And one of the managers there just said, oh, my wife, her boss, he needs a new assistant, kind of a private side. And I said, I want to be an actor, right? And I don't know anything about fashion, so I don't know why that would be right. And he said, well, just go for it. I think you'll really like it. So I said, okay, I went for it. And I turned up in my kind of morning suit, which I worked at this quite posh restaurant, to this fashion house, and I saw his business assistant, and we got on quite well. And then I met him, and we got on really well. And I mean, that's what it's been all about. It's about about your personality. And I said, well, I think it sounds really good actually. And he said, well, do you want the job? And I said, yeah. I said, I just want to be really honest with you. I don't know anything about fashion. I don't know what a PA is, but I work really, really hard. And they said, well, you got the job. And that was my first job working for late Mr. McQueen. And so you can take any path, I think, to get there. And that was my unusual path. And I really enjoy everything about it. I think the best thing is probably getting to know a person every day and then becoming your friend. I think for me that has been my experience of being a PA, is creating a very close friend. But you have to have that work boundary. But the way that my work environment is that you are extremely close, and you have to become friends to be with that person 12, 18 hours a day, up to 7 days a week, should that be necessary.
Well, just picking up on that point, and I might start with you, Nikki, this time. Where do you draw the line? How do you balance your private life with your business life? Because you work with someone who's always on. I imagine the BlackBerry is almost another limb for you. How do you balance that, and what advice would you give everyone here today around that?
Well, it's really difficult to balance your own personal life with a job like mine, because I am on call 24/7. That's not to say I'm disturbed 24/7, but I constantly have to have my BlackBerry with me. It's really important, if one is looking to take on a job like this, to set boundaries from the very beginning. And this is a mistake that I made because I didn't. So now my boss is so used to me responding to emails at all hours. But that is a piece of advice I would give, is set boundaries from the very beginning. If you do take on a job like this, it does infringe upon your own personal life. I would say you need a very understanding partner, and I would say no pets or houseplants.
And Merryl, how do you manage to balance the two? Because you talked about your children as well. So
I think it is quite important to protect yourself and to think about sort of where your boundaries are. Unfortunately, as Nikki says, often you do that when it's already a bit too late. But I think that with my clients, I've always maintained a certain professional distance. However, when you're with someone for a long time, you do see the ups and the downs, and you go through things, as much in your own life as in their lives. And when you are working really closely with someone, it's inevitable that you know about those situations and you're involved in them. So, the lines do get very grey. But I think you do always have to remember at the end of the day that, you're working for somebody, and bear that in mind.
Now, if I sort of look at you guys in particular, so Donna, Merryl and Josephine, you work with multiple clients. How do you choose who you should work with? And have you ever you don't need to give any names, it'd be great if you wanted to, but how, if you didn't want to work with someone, on what basis might that be? And I'll start with you, Donna.
I've had 14 clients over the last 13 years, and 4 of them I'm still with and have been for over 12 years. So I'm a bit of a keeper, and I do love the people that I'm with, and I think because I only work for them part-time, that we don't get fed up with each other, I hope, which works vice versa. I have had people that I've got rid of. One treated me quite badly towards the start. She was a big TV star at the time. She's not anymore. Great. It wasn't anything to do with me, but it made me feel satisfied. But she was really horrid to me. But it was 13 years ago, and I was but 18. We don't have to laugh that much. And I was a bit of a coward. Something had happened in the house, and I saved her, and I got her out of a load of do. And she just kind of screamed, and I just thought, no, I need to be appreciated for what I'm doing. If I want to be abused and be bullied in the workplace, I'll go back to one of my previous jobs where I was. Now I'm in a position where I'm self-employed, and I can choose who I want to work for. So I actually just left her a note. I was really cowardly. Well, I just left her a note. Thank you very much. Can't do that anymore. And then I ran. But don't ever delete a number from your phone, because she did call me a few months later. And when you see that name flash up on your phone, then at least you've got that moment to, oh, hello. How's it going? But there are people that I think you just have to be honest and know what your limits are and what your boundaries are, as we were just talking about. There was a soap star who called me up saying, can I go and work for her? And I didn't have much work at the time, and I thought, okay, when I'd worked in an agency and we did look after people in various soaps, I knew the amount of stuff they were invited to and the amount of stuff that they would go to. So I always said, I don't want to work for a soap person, but hey, needs must. I was with her for 2 days. She wanted me to carry a mobile phone for her. I already had 4 clients, whatever, on my other phone, and I can't do this, because I pride myself on being professional, and I want to be able to do the best job that I can, and I can't. That's just too much. Ridiculous.
Josephine?
I work for various different people at different, and most I've worked for is 5 at the same time, so it can be quite overwhelming when you've got that many. But in picking them, for me, it's just about the chemistry, and I've often thought I find it's a lot like finding a boyfriend or a partner or something like that. You've got to have the right chemistry, and sometimes you can go into a job thinking, this is going to be amazing, I love this person, they love me, it's going to be wonderful, and you have that honeymoon period, and then the reality sets in and it's not going to work out, and that's fine. It is about finding that sort of camaraderie and that rapport that really works with someone. So for me, that's what made me, I've also been to interviews where I've known straight away that I didn't want to work with someone and didn't. But, sometimes you do go into it thinking it's going to be great, and it isn't always. And that's, the way it goes. And hopefully they recognise it as much as you do, and it's no reflection on either of you, just as it isn't with a boyfriend when you break up with one of those.
So if I look sort of more to Nikki and Mark, you're a much more one-to-one relationship. Taking a slightly different slant on that, how do you sort of manage for them their public and private personas? And I guess, Nikki, you've got a very specific situation where you work with someone who guards privacy. How do you manage that for him?
Well, I don't differentiate between managing his personal and private persona. Ultimately, I'm his ambassador, and I try to be his best PR at all times. So, I always have only positive things to say about him, but I don't differentiate between his personal and professional persona at all.
What about you, Mark? You talked about being a friend, and that's quite a powerful word, isn't it?
I was going to kind of ask, actually. I've got no idea how you could do more than one person, but so it's quite. It might be quite a good exercise to maybe understand how you guys can do more, because I've got no idea how you could possibly do more than one person, and what jobs you kind of don't have to do, whereas the ones that you do.
I would say, if it's all right, ladies, is that it depends on the person that you work for, because I think different people have different levels of control freakness, and some people are happy to let their entire life go over to you and just turn up wherever you tell them is, where it pops up in their iCal or their BlackBerry, and trust that you will do it. And some people want more control over their lives than that. Some people want to do their own dry cleaning and know that they're taking it to the exact place they want to and describing what stain it is and that sort of thing. And some people want it to be done and brought back. Do you know what I mean? So it's about finding, and I've been very lucky. lucky that every person I've worked for, I've been their first assistant. So we found the way between the two of us together, and sort of when I started working for Josephine 12 years ago, I thought I'd be doing what you do and be with him 24/7, fly around the world, be on the film sets, but it's not what he wanted, it's not what he needed. So it's about finding what each individual role, the person wants from that person, from you as a PA, I think. So
especially if you're the first one, you can create the systems, and if you take over from somebody else, you have to take control of their system and then make it your own. So yeah, I suppose being the first, get in there straight away. That would be a good one too, for sure.
If I could just add as well, I think being self-employed makes a really big difference, because essentially if you're being paid for 2 half days or 2 days a week or by the hour, then they have to recognise that they can't be filling up your time. And I had one of those who hired me for 2 half days a week and then was calling me and expecting me to be doing things the whole time, and didn't last. Yeah.
About the personality side, and obviously I started as a PA, but now I have 2 PAs, so it's quite weird being on 2 sides of the fence. At what point at what point do you have to say, I accept that because I'm a private or personal PA, there are certain things like the dry cleaning or like picking the kids up from school or whatever it may be that I accept is part of my job, and at what point do you have to say, actually that's too much and it's too close?
I think it's up to everyone's individual personality, and I do babysit for some of my clients' kids, and I know PAs who think that that's a disgrace and they would never dream of doing it, and that's absolutely fine. It's about finding what you're comfortable with, but as Nikki was saying, hopefully recognising it in advance so that you don't get into the situation of doing something that you're not happy to do, because that is a lot more difficult to change. But yeah, for me, I'm happy to go along with roll with the punches. I mean, I have had some extraordinary things like returning clothes to an ex-boyfriend, which did not go down well, and I would never do that again. But you live and learn,
Well, following that thought, if I might be a bit of levity, what's the most unusual thing any of you have been asked to do? And I might start at Merryl this time.
I think being dispatched to a sex shop was a fairly unusual day in my career, and having to buy a certain item and having the assistant saying, but what does your friend like? And going, well, so yeah, my friend likes it this way. So yeah, that was an interesting shopping trip for me.
Mark?
I think actually in my interview I got asked the most. I'd interviewed for the previous PA we've got, and then I went off to the train station at London Bridge, and then I looked at my phone as I got onto the train, and it was like, can you come back? And I was like, oh my God, I might have a chance. So I get off at the next stop, turn around, come back, and I'm in a suit, and it's really hot, and I'm running back to the cafe, and I get to the cafe, and Gok's in there, and I'm just sitting there, and my glasses just steam up, and I'm sweating, and I'm like, just so you know, I don't usually sweat this much. So I think he kind of got a bit of a tone about maybe what I might be about, and he said, okay, going to ask you a question. If I've got a contract and I'm up a mountain and I'm filming, you need to get it to me, what you do. And I was like, well, I'll call a courier and I'll get the courier to take it up there. And he went, there's no couriers. So, okay, I will, I'll see if there's an assistant working with you on the set or a producer, and I could give, and I'll email it over to them. So there's no printers, you can't get it. I said, well, I'll just come and bring it up the mountain and give it to you then. And he was like, yeah, that's what you should do. And I thought, although I didn't actually, that was like not, I didn't actually have to do that. I'm yet to go up a mountain looking for him. Hopefully I'll know he's already up there.
Sure, we can get there. What about you, Donna?
Unusual stuff. I don't know. You know what? I'm so fiercely loyal to the people that I work for that I completely forget everything. After it, obviously, not before when I need to know something. I do a lot of line running that I enjoy because my clients are quite busy working. And there was one time that Helena was in a Ricky Gervais thingy with Warwick Davis. It was called Small Something People, Short short something. And I remember line running, and it was her being a character being particularly wicked to Warwick Davis as I was on the floor on my knees, and I had to kind of hide behind a bin and all this kind of un-PC stuff. Ricky Gervais is writing, not the type of thing that Helena does in the kitchen. And I remember the housekeeper walking in and she was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I'm working." But I love anything that's thrown at me, really. I will draw a line. I've never had to go and score drugs for anybody or anything like that. But I'm there as a personal assistant. That's what I always say. I'm there to assist them personally. So if the place is trashed and the cleaner's gone sick and I know that she's got people coming round that day, then I will go and do the beds and clean the loo. It's not something that I would do every week, and I'd seriously question the cleaner's attendance. But we're there to assist, so it's whatever and whenever, really.
Can I just ask also, when you have to work with third-party people, whether they be the lawyers or the cleaners or whoever it may be that work around them as well, how do you make those relationships work? Nikki, if I come to you.
Well, I think it's like anything, everyone is as important as each other. I mean, from the gardener to a lawyer to anyone. So you need to... as a PA, you need to have good relationships with outside people because you need them to do things for you. So... yeah, everyone needs to have you have to have a good relationship with everyone, is what I'm trying to say.
I think you need to... I personally think you need to be a people person to be a personal assistant. So I kind of... I think you should try and like everyone. And in life, actually, I think you should probably do that. But, I think, you'll end up finding that people will do so much more for you if you're just a decent person to them and do stuff on time for them as you would for your own principal, because they respect that and hopefully they will then give you that back in return. And I can't think of anyone who I haven't really got on with in these situations now, and that has helped me so much make sure that everything is done what I need to get done in my situation to help God in this particular job now.
Can I just ask, something we were sort of talking to you guys about on the way in is the fact, and also introduced, you all, despite having what one might regard as 24/7 primary activities, you all run other businesses. How in heaven's name do you manage it? And what is it about what you guys do that inspires you to do both? And I know you've just spoken, but Mark, if I just might start... only because I want to know what the Hangover Club is.
I think when you work for somebody in a business and whatever field they're in, they're usually a business person. You get inspired, I think, to do business and see what you can achieve. And sometimes, I don't know how I actually do it, but I just find the time. And my dad said the most important thing to me. He said, if you want something done, you ask a busy man. It doesn't have to be a man, it can be a woman. But, if you ask somebody who doesn't really do much for themselves, they always seem to take so much longer to do it. So if you ask somebody who's busy, they can probably do it. And I think that's kind of philosophy is what I do. I find myself pretty busy, but at the minute I seem to just find a way to make it happen. And I run a pop-up brunch club, and that started last year and it worked really well, and then I kind of trademarked it and made it my own, and I've got some business partners to try and kind of spread out that workload, but I still end up doing all of it anyway. But it's just the principle of it is there. But then I run it on a Saturday, and sometimes I can't go because I'm working away in another country. But I work something out to make it happen, I think.
And you guys, so Josephine and Merryl, you also run another business?
Yeah, we about 3 years ago set up a PA training company. So at the time I was working for 5 people, and I brought that down to 3 to give time to doing it, and I know you did similar. We just realised doing this sort of thing for the last 5 years that we've got quite a lot of useful things to impart to PAs in all industries and all levels, so we wanted to do that, and we started our training company, and it's fun, we enjoy it.
And also we're phenomenally well organised, aren't we?
That's
well, we are. We've been doing it for a long time, the job, so Merryl a lot longer than I. But that's to do with age more than anything.
And Nikki, you also have, despite a very full-on job...
I do. It's a recruitment company to recruit other private PAs like me. I set it up because this is my dream job, and it was hard to get, and I wanted to encourage others that want to have this amazing career that I've been lucky enough to be able to pursue. So that's why fundamentally I set it up. And I also love to teach, to nurture, and I just want other people to be able to share in this career. So that's why I set it up.
And Donna, you're still keeping your hand in, presenting, and
I do a lot of TV presenting on the shopping channel. I'm one of those late night people in the middle of the night when you're thinking, maybe when you're coming in from your late nights before you go to the hangover club, you tune into QVC, you might see me. I'm also very fortunate in that I get to speak internationally as well at PA conferences, and I run courses. I've got my own website, I run a weekly blog newsletter because I'm also passionate about training other PAs, and because I found a job that I love and I'm very enthusiastic about, and I'm also nothing without my little black book of contacts, and that's where my website came from. So I review a lot of products, services, restaurants.
So we've only got a few minutes left, but I would love to know if any of you've got any questions while we've got this wonderful panel here.
I've got two quick ones, if that's okay. The first thing is, obviously you all work for people in the public eye. Have any of you had proper media training to deal with that?
Well, I'm from a PR background, so I sort of consider that to be my media training in a way. But no, I started being a PA long before actual media training existed.
I've never had anything, absolutely nothing. No training whatsoever for anything, actually.
That's good to know. No. Neither have I. The second thing is, for the people that work for more than one person, you don't go into an office every day, so how do you manage those fairly complex relationships?
Well, I have set days on where I'm going to be somewhere and what clients I'm with at that particular time, because I have a school run as well. So I need to do my school run, I go to work, and then I pick my daughter up later on. But always accessible, always in contact remotely. There's always texts, emails, phone calls. And that's the great thing about it, because you can just do it on the go. Wherever you are, I can work from any flat surface, in my car, in Starbucks, wherever you can log on to the Wi-Fi, anything, anywhere.
You also really hone your diplomatic skills quite quickly. There's a lot of a lot of diplomacy involved.
And I have a rule that I will always phone someone back within half an hour. So if one of my clients phones and I'm with another one, even if I have to go to the loo to go, I'll go and then call them back and check what it is. And they all know about each other, so it's not like I'm cheating on anyone. But I think I try and make each one feel like they're the most important one at that time. So when I'm with them.
Thank you.
That is really important, actually. So I think I never take a personal phone call just straight in front of. But I've seen people do it sometimes, like a housekeeper might do it, and it just doesn't feel right. I don't know why, even though it's your right to have a personal life as well. But you can just leave it a couple of minutes and then work out a way to just be discreet and have it. That's one thing that you just kind of know that you can feel those things where they don't quite work. Where if you're having this phone call, you feel awkward.
I was trying to exchange on buying a house like a couple of weeks ago on a photo shoot, and it was literally killing me as they must have thought I had something wrong with my bladder, because I was constantly just going to the loo and I was phoning my solicitor back. Yeah. Bit too much information.
Any other questions? Don't be shy.
Oh. Over there.
I think whatever you do, however good you are or whatever sector you're in, you have to accept there's an element of sacrifice if you want to become the best. Could you just quickly give us a sense of something that you've probably had to sacrifice at some point for your job?
Self-respect.
I'll be back to the sex shop.
I think it's holidays are something that I think we all would probably say we sacrifice quite a lot. And we go on holiday. I'm not saying we stay here the whole time, but you're always on call, even when you're away. So I never had that. That's what I would say.
Not having the ability to switch off. I can never switch off. And if I go on holiday, I have to know that there's Wi-Fi. I have to be able to log on to something to be in contact all the time.
think with multiple people it must be more difficult because you have 5 times more expectations. Even if you have a smaller expectation, their expectation is to deliver on that small amount.
Well, and if something goes wrong for them, it goes wrong, you know, and it can go wrong for lots of people at the same time. So yeah, no, it's true.
Sometimes you just have to give up holidays. I've had to do it before, but you find a way to make up for it in other ways, hopefully.
Well, to wrap us up, I'm going to ask about that. So we're out of time. I've got one last quick fire question. You guys give everything. You're always on. You're 24/7. It's been absolutely brilliant to hear about, you know, how you manage that. What do you get as a payoff? What's the best perk? One sentence, one word. What's the best perk you've ever had working for someone in the public eye? Let's start at Donna and work across.
Oh, well, it doesn't have to be material stuff, although that's good. It's just working. It's just working for people who I respect, who I've been with for so long that we've done births, deaths, and marriages together. People that, you know, we've all kind of matured together. We've all grown our families together. I was pregnant with 2 of them at the same time and bought lots of frying pans. I don't know why, but that, you know, that's the perk for me. You know, yes, there are Sunday lunchtimes when there might be some celebrity drama on the end of my phone, but then, you know, the rest of the time it affords me time to come and meet people like you, to be able to do my school run, and my daughter is my priority. So, you know, there are swings and roundabouts, and that's the perk of the job for me.
Merryl?
Well, it's been great fun, and still is, and you know, it's great to be able to look back on your career and say I really enjoyed it and I had a good time. If it does all go horribly wrong, I've also got enough stories for a fantastic pension pot, so you know, I'm sitting on that.
There's a diary. Josephine?
I get to work in an industry I always wanted to work in. I knew I always wanted to work in film and television in an organisational capacity, so it brings together all of those sorts of things. And you do get to meet amazing people and do fantastic things. And I've been doing it for a long time, but the highlight, I suppose, was only a few weeks ago when finally I met Ross Kemp, who I adore. So I was thrilled. So there's my personal highlights.
Nikki?
Well, I love him.
I guess mine is having my office right next door to where Kate Middleton lives, so I see her walking her doggy, and I'm such a big fan, so that's my great payoff.
And Mark?
I just love travelling, so I get to travel all over the place, particularly recently in Australia, and I just love going down there, so I'm very lucky.
I think I might be thinking about a new career now, Kathleen.
I can't believe nobody said a very expensive handbag. I'm very disappointed.
What was the best? I'm always upset that you never got any pencils for me, Kathleen. Kathleen was herself a EA to a very famous person.
Yes, I was PA to Theo Paphitis for a number of years when I was 18, 19, and it was a fabulous experience. He's an amazing man. I've learned how to become a businesswoman to some degree down to him, and I agree with you. I think it's a privileged job and it's great fun, and if you love it, what better way to earn some money than doing something that you adore? So.
And on that note, I would like to thank you guys for sparing the time to come and share your stories today. I know how busy you are, so please give a warm round of applause and thank our wonderful panel.